Well, France's far-right leader Marine Le Pen, who's Jordan Bardela's mentor, has not been afraid to play hardball with the Prime Minister during the divisive budget negotiations. But she is also currently tied up in a high-profile embezzlement trial that could keep her from participating in France's next presidential election. Elitsa Gadeva and Morgan Eyre take a closer look now at what Le Pen is hoping to get out of this week's political chaos.
For months, the electorate of the right-wing National Rally Party has been rooting for the fall of Michel Barnier's government. For some voters, Le Pen's move to back a no-confidence vote was necessary.
Something had to be done. She did it, and that's great. For me, it's a good thing.
She didn't start a mess. She did like everyone. She expressed her opinion and her ideas.
But others are less convinced.
In my opinion, we've already gained a lot. Maybe we should have stopped there.
Marine Le Pen says she was acting against a dangerous, unjust and punitive budget when she refused to back the Prime Minister's social security budget over the weekend. But poll watchers say that's only the tip of the iceberg. Over the weekend, the National Rally tried to negotiate a pension increase in line with inflation. Experts see the move as an electoral tactic. Le Pen's goal? To attract the pensioners who have historically shunned the far right.
She wants to show that even though other political parties didn't fight against the new pension reform until the end, she did. She's going ahead with a no-confidence vote just to protect the retirees, so her message is fundamentally pointed towards her electorate.
Legal troubles are also weighing over Marine Le Pen. For opponents, her trial for allegedly embezzling EU Parliament funds pushed her to spark the political crisis. The case could see her banned from running for public office. If Barnier's government falls, President Emmanuel Macron could also resign, opening up a fresh campaign for Marine Le Pen.
We're going to get more analysis now about this with French politics expert Anna McKeever, who joins me live. Anna, thanks for taking the time to speak to us today on France 24. I mean, what are your thoughts about Marine Le Pen's strategy here? How much is this about her pushing the far right's agenda, and how much is it just her trying to have a distraction from her own legal troubles?
Hi. I do think that's partially having a distraction from what's happening with the affair with the parliamentary assistance and the embezzlement of funds. I also think that she's trying to push the agenda of the National Rally about, protecting the senior citizens. But it's quite a risky strategy that Marine Le Pen has pursued because, as we've seen in summer, she actually managed to stay away from this kind of coalition formation chaos that happened. And she eventually agreed on the Barnier government. She gave her green light. But what we're seeing now is that, it might actually backfire on her, because essentially, if Rassemblement National will support the vote of no confidence initiated by the left-wing alliance, Rassemblement National will also be kind of held accountable for the future political instability and political deadlock that France is going to experience in that case, because essentially they will help to topple the government, and there'll be the need for the new prime minister. And we know that it's going to be very difficult for Emmanuel Macron to name a prime minister who is going to resonate with left-wing and right-wing blocs within the National Assembly. And the future prime minister, like the current one, will still have a weak electoral legitimacy. So it's going to be very difficult for a new prime minister to find a compromise. And senior citizens, as much as they care about the retirement, and their pensions, what Marine Le Pen is trying to advocate, they also are very conservative in nature. So they very much, try to protect the status quo and prevent further political instability. So her decision to support the vote of no confidence may actually backfire on her, because the kind of senior citizens, they fear this fear of the unknown is actually what kept them away from supporting Marine Le Pen previously. So they like this political stability, and her support in the no confidence vote will actually trigger further political deadlock and lead to political instability. So it might not actually, play out in her favor.
And what's so interesting here is you really have this unlikely alliance between the far right and the left who are so against this budget. I mean, I understand the politics of why they're against this budget, but I mean, deep down, there is an economic crisis. And I find it so surprising that some politicians don't seem to want to admit that the deficit is as bad as it is, or perhaps this is a way to get France out of its bad space. I mean, what do you think is keeping them from recognizing the economic difficulties of the country?
Well, I think the decision of Emmanuel Macron also to stay in power and not to resign is important, because you see, if his government and the coalition of parties that are within his government are going to recognize that, that will mean that, there'll be more calls for Macron to resign, and he already said that he is not going to do that. So the recognition of these difficulties that, France economy is facing will be a blow to Emmanuel Macron, and eventually, there will be more calls for his resignation. So they don't want to do that, and they don't want to recognize that. And of course, you're absolutely right that it is a very surprising alliance between the left-wing coalition and the National Rally. But I think, in this case, National Rally might be quite, damaged if they will electorally damaged in the future if they support the vote of no confidence.
So for you, is it a done deal or not a done deal that Michel Barnier will get voted out tonight?
I mean, from what we have seen yesterday and today, there are still confirmations that Marine Le Pen and the Rassemblement National are going to support the vote of no confidence. I mean, anything can happen in the future, but if that happens, the new government will need to be formed. And we know from the previous experience in summer that whoever Emmanuel Macron is going to name as a future prime minister will be in a very difficult position. It will take weeks, if not months, to form a new government. So the current government will still need to continue with managing the current affairs, and it will still be problematic. So for me, it's difficult to say. What we can see, what Marine Le Pen has said, that they will go ahead with that. And I think all the parties are already sort of in electoral campaign mode for the future elections that are probably come in summer. I think the current prime minister will go. Yeah.
Is it too early to start talking about possible new prime ministers? I mean, we heard earlier today the name François Bayrou, a centrist politician, being thrown out there already. I mean, can we go down those roads already, or is it too soon?
I think it's too soon, because we've seen what has happened a couple of months ago, that there were different names thrown on the table, and the Michel Barnier appointment was very surprising for a lot of people. It kind of came out of the blue. So I don't think we can really speculate on the centrist François Bayrou and, him as a potential new prime minister. But definitely Emmanuel Macron, whoever he's going to appoint, I do think, because the new prime minister is going to have a weak electoral legitimacy, it's not going to be a prime minister probably from the left-wing camp. Very unlikely. It's either somebody centrist or right-wing. And again, it's going to be the same situation repeating with with the Michel Barnier government.
All right. In any case, it will be a very interesting situation if it does come out that way, that the Barnier government does get voted out. It'll be the first time, I believe, since the 1960s since it's happened. Anna McKeever, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us. Of course, we will be staying on top of this story for you throughout the day here on France 24.
Thank you.